right, let's see whether we have any more magic to bring you. We do. We can go to our backup feature match in the quarterfinals. Let's head down to the action. We have Is It Dragons in the hands of RAZPOK up against DANINJA, Tomasz Pokorny. We saw him earlier with this mono green snow deck. And look at this curve out. Just Sentinel, Werewolf Pack Leader, Chariot on turn 3. What more could you want?
Yeah, it feels like the first game that we saw Tomasz play on stream. I was criticizing that he did not have the curve that he was looking for as the mono green deck. We saw him go turn 1 Swarm Shambler into turn 2 activate for a counter, turn 3 attack with a Lair of the Hydra for 1. Tomasz took that pretty personally, and he's like, how dare you mock the curving capabilities of the mono green deck? And we're seeing pretty great curves since.
Yeah, definitely showing off the curves here with this particular draw, although Werewolf Pack Leader goes down to Dragon's Fire, and that is gonna leave just Sentinel all by its lonesome, at least for now.
For now, but if Tomasz doesn't find that 4th land, this hand does nothing.
Wow, it just goes to show how easily the fortunes can swing here. Oh, Lair of the Hydra, unfortunately, that is going to come in tapped. That's not a lot of use to Tomasz, at least on this turn.
It's not, and RAZPOK is going to get the good news of the reprieve that is available to them, and they could take advantage of this. If they have a Prismari command, they can kill the Sentinel, make a treasure, untap, and play one of their 5-drops. No such luck.
Dragon's Fire not bad either. It's gonna, belatedly bolt the bird, and here's Expressive Iteration, one of the most powerful cards printed in the last couple of months, or a couple of years, should we say? I guess last year. Let's forget 2019. One of the most powerful cards printed post 2019.
It is a half of a card. 2 mana draw 2 is not, or what is essentially 2 mana draw 2, is not a rate that we have seen without real drawbacks in much of the history of Magic.
Oh,
and
my goodness.
Unfortunately, it's not a draw 2 here as RAZPOK misses a land.
No land drop off the Expressive Iteration. That is not something you see very often, and we're going to see DANINJA capitalizing on that little falter here. Esika's Chariot down. Start making these tokens. Nard Professor to follow up later on as well.
Sorry, did you say catalyzing?
Capitalizing?
I just want to make sure if I heard
where we are. That's where we're going with this. We are going to need to iterate our expressions as we go.
So is RAZPOK. If they do hit a land here, that's the beginning of them trying not to lose the game. If they don't hit a land here, the game is just absolutely over, and they can pack it in, because Esika's Chariot is one of those brutal cards where it makes sure to let you know you're losing when you're losing. It just pushes you further and further behind until you have no choice but to submit.
I mean, my cats definitely let me know when I'm losing in any interaction with them, which is often. Okay, there's a land. It's a tab land, but it is a land. RAZPOK lives on in some ways.
I think Tomasz definitely knows that he may have gotten away with something here. This game, if that 4th land that he hadn't drawn at the time drew a tap land, if RAZPOK had been able to capitalize on that turn, this would be a very different game, as Tomasz could have been on the back foot the entire time. But instead, given how things went, Tomasz has just been able to land 4-drop after 4-drop with another in hand, and the hopes of RAZPOK coming back into this game by the turn just diminish.
Now Professor comes down, gonna teach the lesson of reduce, reuse, recycle, check out, return it, express. #1 service for recycling your bottles and other drinks containers. Get that deposit refunded into your online account. And we're gonna see the GGs. RAZPOK is gonna scoop it up.
Yeah, as
Let's
a
go
tree
to
folk
game
druid,
number 2.
I do understand how Gnarl Professor does have double-rooted interest in the environment and just focusing on the planet. So really just a big advocate of returning.
That was a gnarly joke, if I ever heard one.
Nope. All right, we're done here.
The jokes are getting gnarlier as the evening progresses.
And just like this single perspective stream that we're watching, we're going to have a single caster broadcast for the rest of the night. Thank you, everybody, and I'll see you later.
As we're having a look at the sideboard here, what is DANINJA thinking about bringing, if anything?
I do like those snakeskin veils. Having a cheap answer to those dragon fires, I think, is going to play a role for sure. Blizzard Brawl absolutely does seem tempting. You have creatures that line up nicely against those flying dragons, so it does make sense to be tempted by those. I believe last time we saw him playing in what looked to be a similar matchup, he was eyeing some of those Toskis, not all of them, just trying to recoup some card advantage here in the matchup, so I wouldn't be surprised to see those, but it is not surprising to see those copies of Storm Chandler get taken out, as they are pretty outclassed in the matchup.
You mean outlessoned?
Nope.
Alright, so it is going to be a couple of snakeskin veils.
Going for the inscriptions, up to the full 4 copies here. There is a bit of a song and dance that we've seen with those inscriptions before, but ultimately Tomasz did show that he had the patience necessary to really time it right and force his opponent into awkward positions, and in doing so capitalize on the maximum value he can get from the modal instant.
Yeah, well, I mean, we saw Inscription of Abundance do a lot of work for Tomasz when he last cast it. Yeah, really blowing out removal spell left, right, and center. Yeah,
and we did see that in that last match, Tomasz actually kept some copies of Blizzard Brawl in.
Yes,
it looks like that will not be the case this time around.
So this hand a little bit slower in terms of curve. Just going to start at 3 with Old Growth Troll, Esker's Chariot, and Toski. I wonder if DANINJA's thinking about throwing this back.
It's tough, because keeping a hand like this, if your opponent has access to something like a Disdainful Stroke, we do know these as a Dragon's decks play them, and normally you're tempted to take out counterspells against decks like this mono green aggro deck, but when so many of their cards that matter cost 4 or more, we saw that entire game be decided by Esker's Chariot and the Gnarl Professor. Well, it's tempting to keep it in, and if Tomasz is making his first play of the game on turn 4 or turn 3, and RAZPOK has answers to it, that game is not in a good place for the mono green deck.
Yeah, that's not the 2-drop that DANINJA wanted to see there. Inscription of Abundance doesn't really do anything when you don't have any creatures down on the battlefield. That's a bit better, because Xanadu Mammoth was the find. But as you say, it has been a couple of turns now and nothing deployed by DANINJA in that time.
Yeah, and that could be anything. It could be a Behold the Multiverse, it could be a Sod coming, it could be an Alrund's Epiphany, and you see DANINJA actually not deploy the Xanadu Mammoth, instead going for the Old Growth Troll, just because you don't want to run it into a Dragon's Fire. At least with the Troll, they do need to have a Goldspan Dragon or an Imrith in hand in order to deal that extra damage. With Xanadu Mammoth, it's just an easier removal, so try to at least ask a bit of a difficult question, but no such luck as the heated debate.
Yeah, what a card.
Strixhaven Limited All-Star
what a
is
card. There. RAZPOK is like, debate me, bro. Debate me, you troll. And the troll goes down in the fires of the marketplace
the
of
arena
ideas. Somebody stop us. Send help. Alright. So, Would you consider just playing the Mammoth here and leaving the Snakeskin Veil up?
It's tempting. I would also consider the Toski, just because if that isn't a counter spell and RAZPOK is just holding more removal spells, at least you're resolving something that can start trying to get through. But going for the Chariot, this is the most high upside, high risk play, and Resolution is their reward.
So that is the Chariot. Down, ready to go, ready to be driven. Oh, look at this. Snakeskin Veil is great, but it cannot save the Chariot as an artifact.
Yeah, they will have to crew here and then use the Snakeskin Veil, which would cost them the cat still, so they cannot protect both here, unfortunately, but will deem the Chariot to be the more effective one and a good use of their Snakeskin Veil for sure.
Yeah, that was very nice indeed. Snakeskin Veil doing a lot of work here. You think back to, you know, these cards that have been printed, this type of effect, you know, Veil of Summer, Blossoming Defense, and we always see them crop up in these kind of green aggro decks, and they're always so powerful.
Yeah, they're really the type of card that, in the right moment, in the right situation, they are the game changer, and absolutely the case here, as now the Ninja has some options available to him. If he goes for something like a Kazandu Mammoth and then makes a 4/4 Warrior token from that Old Growth Troll that is enchanting that snow-covered forest, then he could make another copy with Esika's Chariot and really try to overwhelm the board if that's what he wanted to go for.
Well, overwhelming the board certainly looks like it's going to be the play. Just get down the Mammoth, get down the second Troll, and swing in for 7, but this isn't huge army that the Ninja has assembled. But look at this. Battle of Frost and Fire is going to deal 4 damage to each non-giant creature, and spoiler alert, that's all of them.
Those trolls are big, but they're not that big. They are warriors and not giants, and that means Battle of Frost and Fire wipes off the entire board, and there's still 2 cards foretold there for RAZPOK. At least based on the plays they've made so far, it is safe to assume that one of them is almost certainly an Auron's Epiphany, which means that they can start linking these together, get those extra chapters on Battle of Frost and Fire, draw some extra cards, and really try to get back onto this board, considering they are at least ahead on cards here.
So just a reminder, this is the second game of the quarterfinal here between DANINJA and RAZPOK. DANINJA already a game up, so just has to win this one to go through to the semis, whereas RAZPOK would have to win this one and the next.
Here we go.
Alright, so make the Troll token.
Yep.
Crew the Chariot. Get in. Copy the token. And now DANINJA is saying, look, my board is absolutely huge again. This is going to be a lethal attack next turn, so you had better, you know, find some answers, and you got to find them right now.
Yeah, there's 3 copies of Battle of Frost and Fire in this Izzet Dragons deck. It's safe to assume that all 3 copies were boarded in for this matchup, and if they were able to have another one here, that would be absolutely devastating for DANINJA, as it would draw 2 cards on top of it, thanks to that 3rd chapter of Battle of Frost and Fire. It does require you to discard a card, but not the biggest deal, and that could be what turns this game around for RAZPOK from the current position it's in.
DANINJA just has to sit and wait to see what RAZPOK finds. Gonna be 2 cards off the 2 extra draw steps, and those 2 cards seen off Battle of Frost and Fire Chapter 3 trigger. Of course, get in with the birds while you can. Oh, and iteration as well. RAZPOK is really digging deep here. They could really find it. Like, they've gone through a lot of cards.
That does signify some weakness, though. That was a pretty desperate expressive iteration to cast it on a turn where you've already played a land and you have no real guarantee that you're going to be able to get 2 cards off of it. That's them trying to maximize their mana because they're saying that I need something in the position I'm in.
So, do these tokens from the troll have trample as well?
They absolutely do. You see the beating drum effect around those Troll Warrior tokens, as well as the Gnarled Professor. This is a lot of trampling power.
That's the animation for trample?
That is, in fact,
I thought
the
they were
animation
just excited.
They're just really hyped about the game.
They're
of Magic
just like,
playing.
yeah, let's go.
They are trampling the ground here, creating that beating drum effect, and a lot of trample damage is something that these birds from Albert's Epiphany are weak to. So RAZPOK just passing the turn, I don't love this.
Especially with that Inscription of Abundance here. If there is something like another Heated Debate or, some spot removal, that could easily get blown out by the Inscription in DANINJA's hand as well.
Yeah, DANINJA does have to consider if he goes for the same play he did last turn of making another troll from the land and then trying to attack. Well, he's going to put himself down a trampling attacker. So it may not actually be in his best interest to crew this Asika's Chariot this turn. If he had another land, he would be able to activate Lair of the Hydra for 4 and then use that to crew the Asika's Chariot. But as things stand, he's not able to.
To give a shout out to the Arena UI creating 1 troll token that's regular border and 1 troll token that's full art.
There is a reason for that.
Yeah, because of the full art Asika's Chariot, I'm aware, but it's just very, very annoying.
Wow, I see how it is.
Yeah, sorry. That's your hot take for the day. Give us consistent frames, please.
Wow. Hayu
All right.
does not like playing. You heard it here first.
So, it is actually going to be crew up the chariot, possibly. Nope, it's going to be go to attacks.
Yeah, it makes sense. It is very costly for you to give up a trampling attacker here just for that Asika's Chariot. This is a tough position for RAZPOK to really get out of. And Dragon's Fire for 4, well, they're going to need another. And I don't think the Ninja needs to necessarily act here.
That Dragon's Fire is doing 4 damage because of the Goldspan Dragon on the battlefield. So the Ninja will need to use this inscription if he's interested in saving this Gnarled Professor. And it is going to be all 3 modes.
Full kicker. Here we go.
Okay, here we go. 2 counters. Fight one of the blockers, gain a bunch of life, not that that matters particularly in this spot. And if RAZPOK doesn't have anything, that's going to be the game.
Is there another Dragon's Fire? Is there a
counter spell,
disdainful
maybe?
stroke of some kind? Those are what it's going to take. They have access to 3 mana here. So a Prismari command is available, but that may not be good enough.
I don't know if Prismari Command is going to do it necessarily. It was the 2nd Dragon's Fire. Wow. So that's going to blow out the Gnarled Professor, but this is still 8 points of trample damage with only a 1/1 blocker. RAZPOK is down to 1. They're going to have to chain together a lot of effects here to take this one down, but it's not outside the realms of possibility. There's
a 7/7 sitting there in those lands. So they are technically representing 13 damage right now. So there's 3 damage short of lethal. If there was something like another Albert's Epiphany, that's just lethal on the spot. But 3 damage is asking a lot. The most this deck does in terms of direct damage to the face is Prismari Command, which is only worth 2 damage.
So it's going to be Iteration. If RAZPOK finds one of the remaining copies of Expressive Iteration, that's going to be it. There are 3 copies in the main. Now, of course, we don't know if RAZPOK sided any of those out, and we have seen 2 already.
The odds of finding the 3rd Alrund's Epiphany extremely low. But if they were to find it, it's going to be the gate.
They find Imrith instead. Now things are getting interesting here because, you know, RAZPOK is at 1 and those attackers have trample, but because DANINJA forwent the making a new token with Esika's Chariot line last turn, they only have 2 of these trolls to work with right now.
Attacking with 1 token, knowing that will likely not be the difference, and DANINJA doesn't find a way to crew the Esika's Chariot without using one of the creatures already in play. So for another turn, he will have to work with those 2 trolls and nothing else when it comes to the Esika's Chariot.
And you know, it's an interesting as well dynamic with these troll tokens because you have to sacrifice that land. You have to give up 2 mana in order to make it. And look at this mascot exhibition just rotting away in hand for DANINJA. Like, that's not going to be a cast, you know, this turn, possibly not even next turn.
Yeah, we go back to the decision to get that mascot exhibition, and right now it's not looking particularly great because DANINJA finds themselves in a position where they just don't really have meaningful spells to cast, and they're approaching a dangerous position in the air.
So it is going to be Ranger class coming down. Activate Ranger class, get it to level 2. It's going to be an attack in with the Chariot, which is a 5/5, thanks to that Snakeskin Veil interaction earlier on.
Going to put a counter on the other troll. They need to force that troll to trade with this Imrith, as the position in the air is too scary. The Esika's Chariot does get to add another trampling token onto the battlefield, so still not great for RAZPOK, but they do have outs. They can just chump the Esika's Chariot, trade the 5/5s, and leave their Goldspan Dragon alive to potentially try to steal something.
Things very tense here in this game number 2 between Mono Green Aggro and Is It Dragons. And it's interesting, Lani, to see these 2 decks battling in Standard 2022 because we've seen this matchup play out many times in the previous Standard format, but this has a very different flavor thanks to the new cards that have been included and the old cards that are not here.
Yeah, very much. This Is It Dragons deck has a bit of a different feel to it. We're seeing some of the new dragons. We're seeing Dragon's Fire really make its presence known. We're seeing cards like Battle of Frost and Fire get a chance to shine, as they don't have access to cards like Storm's Wrath anymore. So it's one of those things where we are seeing the impact of the potential rotation felt here on this matchup.
That's going to be a Frostbite in the end step for RAZPOK. Still at the precarious 1 life. Untaps with Goldspan Dragon, 1 bird, and a whole of the Storm Giants on the battlefield. 2 cards in hand. What can RAZPOK find here?
It's not great. One of the outs they had available to them was Hall of Storm Giants as a potential blocker, but by casting that Behold the Multiverse, that is no longer an option. And notably, it does make sense, as with that second layer of the Hydra on the battlefield, the Ninja actually has the ability next turn to just make 2 1/1 attackers. And normally not very impressive, but 1/1 attacker is looking really good against an opponent who's at 1 life. So RAZPOK knows that just activating a Hall of the Storm Giants not going to be good enough in this board state, which means they have to go looking for more.
So it's 1 top, 1 bottom with the Scry. So RAZPOK potentially has found something here.
Could be Auron's Epiphany. They're making a treasure here, but if it was, they would be attacking with both. So what have they found that can get them out of this position?
Well, there are 3 copies of Battle of Frost and Fire in the sideboard, so it's not...
If they cast it, they know they would be dead to Lair of the Hydra. It stands to reason that in a position of desperation, they wouldn't keep a card that is not an answer on top. So they're saying, I found something, but I'm looking at their list, and I'm not finding an answer. So I'm really curious to see.
Right, especially with the attack from the Goldspan Dragon. Like, if it was something like double removal spell, you would think, okay, you know, you have the Goldspan Dragon as a blocker. You can you can maybe string something together, right? But
there it is.
We're gonna see DANINJA make that play you were talking about. Just make a couple of small layers of the Hydra.
Not 2. Definitely not 2.
Definitely not 2. I have made that mistake before. And
Lair of the Hydra is a very selfless creature. They will happily tap themselves for mana at a moment's
for almost
notice.
any reason, honestly.
just give them a reason. They are on it.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna see Ranger class heated debate. I mean, surely there's nothing.
I refuse to believe that it exists.
Okay, what about Prismari? Okay, Dragon's Fire on the 4/4.
Is the last card Frostbite?
Oh no,
it was not
Frostbite. My we got so excited.
If it was Frostbite, they had lethal. That I am wow.
Wow. We need a moment, my friends, to just recover from the emotional roller coaster that was the end of that game number 2. In the end, Tomasz Pokorny does take it down 2-0, but what a 2-0 it was.
Yeah, that was extremely exciting. We got to see the power of Asika's Chariot, one of the most powerful cards in the standard format for good reason. We got to see Old Growth Troll really it signify why it's such a powerhouse in this deck. It wasn't even the troll itself, it was the troll tokens that really ended up pushing that game across the finish line.
Yeah, all right. Well, that is going to do it from our quarterfinals here this evening. Of course, players in the top 8 battling out for that 1K prize pool. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to have the semi-finals for all of you. But before we go, just a quick reminder about Monster Cat Gold, which is an awesome music download and streaming service where they have songs, thousands of songs from top electronic artists, and you can use that music in your live streams and in all of your videos without worrying about DMCA claims or strikes. I use it personally on my stream, and I would very, very much recommend it. I think the music on there is awesome, and you know, just that safety, peace of mind as well, very valuable. All right, we're going to go away. When we come back, semi-final action, so see you shortly.